Hello. Hello. Start recording the session. Yes. Right. So your attendance here clearly indicates that you're very interested to learn about certain strategies, tips, and tricks from experts about how you can build strong profiles for better college admission outcomes. And there couldn't have been a better platform for you to get some really hands-on knowledge that you can apply almost immediately to your portfolio. And that is irrespective of where you are in your college application process. You could have just entered high school where you're trying to figure out a lot of things, not just on the academic side of things, but also to familiarize yourself with these new words that you're hearing about profile building and academic excellence. What does that all mean? And you could also be the senior high school students in grades 11 and 12, where your entire focus is not just to deliver on the academic side of things, but also to really, present a holistic picture of who you are as a student to the university or college of your choice. So we are very, very happy to be able to provide that kind of learning and that kind of information and knowledge to you, which irrespective of where you are in your college application process, like I said, you'd be able to apply almost immediately. Before we begin, let me introduce to you the special panelists and the team present who will be conducting the webinar. My name is Ankita Parashar. I am part of the high school programs team at Ashoka University. And joining me today is my teammate Paritosh Kanoria. He's also part of the high school programs team at Ashoka University. And we have with us two very, very distinct, one of the biggest education consultants in the country. Starting with Dhaval. Very good morning to you, Dhaval. And let me give you a little bit of the background. Dhaval already seems to have done a lot of things, but I'm going to try and give you a very short, succinct background of Dhaval so far. Now, Dhaval Mehta, who is a University of Michigan alum, commenced his career in investment banking, orchestrating IPOs and M&A deals across diverse global markets. Notably, he spearheaded the 2 billion real estate IPO for DLF India, contributing to a total capital raised of 6 billion. That is a very big number. Transitioning to impact based venture capital after his graduate studies at Columbia University, he ventured into entrepreneurship in 2014 with Teacher NI, a learning management digital platform which he later sold in 2017. Subsequently, he established TNI Career Counseling, catering to the career needs of institutions, students, a lot of whom are in attendance today, and professionals, and founded Globestar Consulting Services, providing comprehensive support to universities worldwide, including market entry strategies, curriculum development, and recruitment. Alongside his entrepreneurial endeavors, Dhaval has been actively engaged in leadership roles in education circles, serving as a president of UMIAA and participating in various education conferences. His expertise and contributions were further recognized when he earned high honors in the Executive Program in Management (EPM) from Cornell University's Johnson School of Business in 2021, solidifying his standing as a leader in both academia and business. Thank you very much, Dhaval, for joining us today. And we'll touch base upon a little bit of those things that are mentioned in your profile, probably in our discussion going forward. And also allow me to introduce Sweta Tiberwal. With over 7 years of dedicated experience in higher education, Sweta is an independent education consultant, deeply passionate about guiding high school students through the undergraduate application process. Since 2017, she has mentored over 200 students from various foundations, nonprofit based in Mumbai, as well as across the country. Having navigated the entire undergraduate application journey with her son, currently thriving at Caltech, and her daughter, a recent graduate at the University of Columbia in Canada, she possesses first-hand insights into admissions intricacies. This hands-on experience has equipped her with the understanding of critical choices of the right college and the empathy to assist students and parents with admission challenges. Very, very crucial. Under her guidance, students have achieved admissions to prestigious colleges such as University of Chicago, Johns Hopkins University, Carnegie Mellon, just to name a few. Thank you so much, Veta, for joining us today. And I hope we'll also touch base upon your very unique perspective that you bring onto the table, not just as a parent, but also as an education consultant. I think that can also help a lot of the high school students in attendance today really connect or empathize with their parents when it comes to the university admission process. And before we begin, I also want to make a quick mention of two very, very important people who are joining us today, and they happen to be our Horizons 2023 alumni, Fuad and Paridhi. Fuad and Paridhi, thank you so much for joining us today. We will have a very interesting conversation with you slightly later in the session today. But with this, I would like to now open the floor for the topic at hand, which is how to be a standout college applicant in the 21st century. Now, Dhaval, my first question is to you. When it comes to creating standout applications, we keep hearing one word from admissions managers and officers at different universities, not just in India and abroad. They say that we want a student that can exhibit certain leadership qualities. Now, when we are considering, we're talking about 14 to 17-year-olds with fairly limited life experiences. What does that leadership quality actually look like from the context of a high school student? What does that all mean?
Hi, Ankita, and it's great to see everyone here. I'm pleased that it's a Saturday morning, but we still have a good audience here of students, and this is a very important question. And what I want students to realize is that while we are on this journey of exploration. Um, when they're in the school environment, especially, leadership could mean a lot of things. It could mean, assisting in leadership projects that you have in school. Could be that you have, a club or a committee, whether it's, to do with acting, dancing, drama. Could be, a club which is, dormant, and you feel that this is something that interests you, and you start something, but it needs a lot of planning. That means you need to immerse yourself and take that responsibility seriously. um, so in terms of leadership, anything that shows that you are taking initiative to drive that, so whatever that idea might be at the school level, even it could be outside the school level, not that it is only has to be at the school level. And there are, of course, positions, whether it's a house captain or whether it's a head boy or a head girl. All of these things are, of course, going to require a lot of effort, right? It shows that you are driving others and you are initiating something which is going to be very noteworthy, right? Because you're working for it, and especially if you do this from the ninth grade onwards, it definitely supports. Though I always encourage students to try even earlier, right? If you think that you have that kind of personality, or even if you don't, try to put yourself ahead. Uh, you know, Talk about things that you're passionate about, and you will find a chord. You'll find others also who are interested in doing something, and then you drive that group. Um, I'm not saying it's easy, but it definitely shows that you are taking that effort and you're building that across, for a period of time. So, I hope this to an extent drives others to think about this. Even volunteering work that you would do, sports teams. If you become a house captain, for instance, if you like basketball or if you're playing football, whatever that might be. But leadership in its true sense to needs to show any activity that you are taking up where you are really, that you're passionate about, and you're going to be there for a longer period of time to show that across, your years. So you can even build upon it over the years. I hope that sort of answers the question.
Definitely does. And so the couple of things that I take away, and for the benefit of the students who are attending, essentially, it shows the willingness of a student to initiate something at the school level, could be for community service or could even be about activities that are conducted within school, that shows their willingness to try something and be at the helm of all the decision making processes for it. And it's also a fantastic segue into the next thing that I wanted to touch base upon. You mentioned a lot of activities here, which traditionally in a lot of schools come under the umbrella of extracurricular activities. Now, some people may have initiated certain activities, started a movement, or started a project, and while others would simply be participating in it. And when it comes to building robust profiles for college admissions, I know for a fact that a lot of university admission counselors and managers also look at the kind of activities the students have done. So, what kind of role do you think, and what is the significance of these extracurricular activities? Why should they even have a presence on the profile?
So, you know, what we really, what university, today, like, are looking at when they look at holistic admissions is it's not just your academics that are playing an important role and the rigor of that, but in addition, they want to know you as a person. They want to know what drives you. They want to know what you're passionate about. They want to know what are the other things that you would take up. And what would you do? To what length would you go? Right? And that's sort of important. So when you have an extracurricular, you're talking about not just academics, or you're talking about you as a person, right? So what are the things that drive you on the field? So if you're taking these extracurriculars, that could be maybe, if you're passionate about cricket, you're passionate about a sport, you're passionate about basketball, right? And you took an extracurricular that you followed through, or even swimming. Many of them are part of swimming teams, or if it's not a sport, even if you're really passionate about vocals, right? And you many of them do a Trinity performance, or give the Trinity exam for vocals, and you're passionate is great, but not just that you took the exam, but you actually went for a performance, right? You participated in many of those. That is what really interests others to see, that what are you ready to do while you are actually exploring this piece of it, because college is also fairly demanding, and colleges want diversity, right? And they want to see the diversity in you, right? What is that USP? What is it that you've built for yourself that you're telling an admission officer, that makes them, when they read their application, they're enthralled. They're like, wow, this is incredible. There's so much sincerity. There's so much that they've actually done to explore that piece. So that's important to them.
And this is something that I want to throw open to both Dhaval and Shweta, and perhaps you can just take 2 minutes each to answer this. You said about showing initiative to see something through. Is it always the case that you have to show some sort of an achievement in these extracurricular activities? Can it not simply make itself, present itself on the profile as a hobby?
But
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the question. Of course, if a child is really interested in something and is pursuing a hobby, it could be, in the field of art, it could be in the field of sports, any hobby. But, what they want to see is you doing something consistently, not like doing one level of Trinity and then 1 month and then, doing for one beach cleanup drive and then going for one marathon. Do something more consistently over the high school years, because then that passion truly comes across. You can speak about your growth also in that hobby. Suppose if you are pursuing music, you could talk about how that music changed you as a person, how you grew as a person. Maybe you became patient, maybe you learned about so much different, suppose you're learning Hindustani classical music, you could talk about the rich culture you learned about India, the various musicians of India, the various instruments of India. And that also shows that okay, you are someone who believes in something, and then you carry forward that for all your high school years. So I would always, encourage students, whatever they want to pursue, whether it is a hobby, whether it is an extracurricular activity, whether it is a leadership engagement, do something over the high school years, over then doing fragments of activities, because that truly reflects your passion, that truly shows a depth in your profile, which admissions definitely want to look at. And it also helps you discover yourself.
Thank you so much.
I'm just going to share a slide that kind of, shows a little bit more about leadership, which we discussed, and then just extracurriculars, which, kind of show that consistent participation. Just what Shweta was saying, very important, having consistent participation is what I would say, across. And whether it's even a quiz competition and that's something that you're passionate about, you're actually doing that, or whether if it's Olympiads, I've had students who are like passionate about taking, say, math Olympiads, or working on, so maybe it's just problem solving for them, and that's why they just kept taking these Olympiads. And then you went for a math camp or a science camp, and then just consistently do that. That's also something that's okay, to do, but consistency is very important.
Fair enough. So basically, what the word to take away from this would be that they need to be consistent in whatever it is that they're doing, and that's pretty much what the university counselors are also looking for, admissions managers, to see whether the child has followed through something or not. Great. Thank you so much for that perspective. And Dhaval, that leads me to my next question about, students are not only doing extracurricular activities and also activities in school, but they're also doing, what is traditionally called as additional work for profile building. So this could be projects or courses that they take that may not necessarily have an impact on their academic performance. So we're not talking about test prep courses. We're not talking about anything of that. Something that they take to simply, expand their own knowledge into a subject, or at least get a better idea about what the subject is all about. And to do projects, this could even include internships, for example, to get an understanding of how things are actually done in the real world. Because so far they only get access to theory. They also want to see the practice side of things. So, what is the role that such activities play in their profile, and how should a student actually go about looking for such opportunities?
So, no, very pertinent question. As a matter of fact, so that kind of brings me to, the next slide, that, it's important while you're looking at the rigor, in school, also look for some coursework which is outside, right? That's where I would definitely say, an Ashoka Horizon and the courses that, they have, where you have actually live sessions with, experts, or the professors. I think that's fairly important. That would also help them to explore a certain area outside. So, doing something where, could be politics, it could be crypto art, it could be, blockchain, it could be economics in particular, something, and, working on a project, right? That could be even a personal project that they have. Very important, because it shows that you are keenly involving yourself, you're learning, right? Because you're growing yourself, you're ready to do that. And college is all about that, right? Because you're sort of learning every semester. You're taking up different things, you're meeting different friends, you're adding different, skill sets to yourself. Could be researching, you have to write a paper. um, Remember, when you're in college, you have 4 to 5 courses, and you have to be organized with your timetable. So organizational skills, time management, how are you showing all this stuff, right? And that's where this additional coursework project sort of comes in. So especially at school, I'm sure that there's something that would come across, or something sent across to you, that okay, there are some science projects happening, or there's some math projects happening. You should take up time, even in the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, to take up these kind of pet projects. So, or either they're by the school, or either you could have a project yourself that you come up with. And then you could either do it independently, or you could do it with, friends who have similar interests. And then, of course, having internships, anything else that they could do outside. Internships are hard to come by unless you're really putting yourself out there, reaching out a little bit earlier. It could be even an internship that you're doing because you're interested in, writing an article for someone. And you could reach out and say, I would love to write about this because I'm very interested. Maybe if it's AI or data science, and you took some courses, you understood, and you're like, oh, I want to write an article on this, and I'd love to reach out and and write something. And I'm sure that there are many of these places that they can reach out and actually do that. Um, so I hope that does answer that part of it.
Definitely. And I think at the helm of all of this is that, from what I understand, is that the opportunities do exist. There needs to be a willingness to actually go out, inform yourself about what kind of opportunities, talk to your counselors, talk to your friends, perhaps be on the lookout for things that are specifically designed to help high school students in, you know, prepare themselves better for life beyond high school, not just in high school, but also beyond high school as well. And I think a lot of that prep work for actually preparing yourself for life beyond high school, ironically, happens in high school. And the good thing about the kind of studies and the kind of support system that children have these days, which perhaps if we look at our times when we were in school, we didn't have that kind of support structures. Not just that, the kind of opportunities that existed for high schoolers to get some very real world understanding of what subjects like physics, chemistry, and biology actually look like in the real world. And I remember having a conversation about this with Paratosh a couple of days back, saying that he's still a much more recent graduate, but I was very interested in the sciences. But unfortunately, physics really threw me off. And I got so bogged down by the curriculum and the way it was taught, I could just never make heads or tails about it. I was so sure I was going to be a scientist until I entered grade 9 to 10. And after that, my life just turned topsy turvy. But then when I look at a couple of courses, like for example, the Star Stardust and Us course in high school in Ashoka Horizons curriculum, it just looks at physics as a component in a much grand scheme of things. So there is obviously like a storytelling element of understanding a concept, and then there is the math that supports it. So I wish that education was taught in a similar way to us. And Paritosh, I would love to hear your thoughts on something very similar. I remember us having this discussion, and maybe then you can take this presentation forward. So, Dhaval, is it okay if we stop sharing the screen now? Yeah, great.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that, what question is really coming to my mind is from like eighth grade is a really early time. And that's when you're young and you're supposed to be having fun and doing all these great things, with your life. And a lot of what students can find enjoyment in are the same things that can build their profile, like beginning a project and seeing it through the end, or doing some kind of extracurricular activities, etc. And while students are going on this organic, authentic journey, and we want that authenticity to come through the application, um, they also have this sort of voice telling them, right? Like, you're doing this for your college application, like that should be kind of like motivating you throughout. So as a parent, Shweta, and I'd love to hear your view on this as well, Dhaval, like, how do you guide a student to balance, this true passion that they might have for the projects that they're doing, with this kind of not pleasant external pressure of like, you may not get into college if you don't do this. So,
Yeah. So, of course, balancing is the key. There's a lot of school pressure. There's a lot of looming assignments, everything coming for the children. And that is why, this big topic of how to make the summer productive. This is the only time, when you do not have that school pressure. And I think this is the right time that, if you have an interest in a project, if you think I'm very good at writing, or I'm very good in photography, or, I think I like data science, it's something interesting. This is the time when you dive deeper into that. You explore the unknown areas and you also explore the areas you're interested in, and then maybe chart out a short-term and long-term vision for you, have some goals in place that, okay, by this summer, probably I'll set a base. Suppose, if a student is interested in something very simple, like, maybe quilling or, punch craft, just make few items, click their pictures, put them on an Etsy store, and, you're done. Give their proceeds to, maybe an organization, a non-profit. When the base work is done in the summer, then when the school opens, the heavy lifting is done. Then every week you can dedicate a couple of hours, because I'm sure none of the students who are watching us today are studying all the time. They are definitely giving a lot of time here and there. Instead, they could use their time into activities they are really passionate about, because then that is also a downtime for them. At the same time, they are building onto their passion project. So I think the balance key comes when, you lay down realistic goals also, that, where I see my project going, brainstorm it, and see what are the logistical issues, where do I see what is the problem I'm going to solve, who's going to get affected by this, who are the beneficiaries for this project, and what are the things you need to learn, maybe. So get hands-on with all of that in the summer, because as I said, 4 years of high school and only 4 summers we have. So I'm not saying that you just have to be very productive. You should relax, you should swim, you should travel, all of that. But along with that, make it productive by, diving into your interests and exploring the unknown areas, and just charting out a very realistic short-term and long-term goal plan for yourself. That's the key, I think, to success for passion projects.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. It's like some of the pressure of like, this is only for college apps and I've got to get this done, otherwise I won't get into college, comes when during school, while you're really worked out during school, you also have this additional stress. So if you take a different time and do the heavy lifting, then you can just have a little bit that you got to do on a regular basis, and that can still remain enjoyable. Um, so Dhaval, do you have any thoughts on this?
No, I think like setting goals, setting expectations, right? Building a roadmap. Just it's important. I think Shweta covered most of what I would recommend to students is um, like, don't think that you have too much. I mean, since you have these 4 summers and you have the rest of the year, try to plan and take steps to kind of action them out. If you're able to do that, and because you have to have a personal story, right? When you're writing that essay for college, and it needs to be also organic. It needs to come across as you did plan this ahead, but then you enjoyed that journey, and that's essentially what needs to come out. And so if you're really able to balance that out by setting your goals right ahead of time and then building that roadmap, I think you'll reach there sooner than you think.
What do you think, Shweta, is a challenge that you see most students face, that you feel like you have to, help them overcome? I just want to give students a sense of, what they might be struggling with during this time.
I think the number one challenge is, sometimes students don't really know what their interests are. They think that I'm very good at something, and you might be thinking that I'm great at writing. Whatever I'm writing, I'm getting good, comments from my teacher. My friends are appreciating, and so let's write a book. That's the challenge. You think of a big goal in the very beginning, and then that's a challenge. I would then recommend the student maybe start writing small blogs, start writing small articles, maybe publish them on a Medium platform or something like that, write for your school magazine. And then maybe you could start with a small term goal of maybe like a e-Kindle small book, rather than diving into a very big book, and which looks like an unachievable goal. So one of the things I've seen is, like, when they're interested in something, they eventually think of an idea which is like way beyond their interest, and then charting out that roadmap looks very unachievable to them. And then sometimes the interest also dies. So I would tell them to move step by step in their journey with their interest. And also sometimes I think that when they want to do some passion project, some children have this idea of perfection. Like, okay, like, I have seen them procrastinate. Like, if I tell them that, okay, you are doing such good photography, let's put an Instagram page together. Then maybe, we could print some pictures and do a charity, auction, something like that. But they have this perfection of putting a perfect Instagram page, and that procrastination sometimes, that doing of things perfectly, doesn't give you the scope of making mistakes and learning from your mistakes and journeys. What I want to tell them, that this is the time to make mistakes, learn from your mistakes, understand what's not working, because till the time you don't take the next step, how do you understand that it's working or it's not working? So the idea is to take the next step, a realistic step, and rather not focus that, oh, it should be the perfect step. I'm sure all of us have had multiple journeys. So I always tell my students that, I learned something in college, I did something else, and today I'm doing something else. So it's perfectly fine, like, to have interest in something else, pursue something else also in college is great. You can do it as a hobby on the side. So don't set up yourself for something perfection, and don't set up yourself for unrealistic goals, because then starting only becomes very difficult. So that is something like I see of the procrastination, the perfection, and those larger goals, which then eventually don't turn into a real project at all.
No, that's really helpful. Dhaval, if you could just share your take on that, and in particular, um, if you agree with this idea that it's okay to make mistakes, especially in your exploration phase, because that's the process by which you come up with that one thing that you want to do in greater depth. Like, why is it not a problem to make mistakes in the context of applying to college? I mean, can the story about those mistakes feature in your essays or in your story?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think this is very important and to address, and I think you can make mistakes. It's just you have to show your learnings out of those. So if your essays can show that potentially you went down a road where you wanted to, so that becomes your exploration journey, right? Because you're actually saying that you know because one of my friends really wanted to do something, and we got together and we built this. So I actually had one of those cases where I saw two students and they both were really close friends, and they said, we want to put something together, which is really going to help solve a pain point, because when you're actually when you're going to the beach and you're collecting all this um, you know so they used to do all these beach cleanups, and they used to have to use their hands to collect. So they said, we're going to make a tool to build that and collect all of this, and we're going to try and make sure that this is going to be our passion project of cleaning a whole lot of beaches and stretches of those, and we're going to help people who actually do it by making tools which are going to help with that. So someone went down that road, built it an entrepreneurship project, and actually started supplying that to organizations that were doing beach cleanups. So it would be easier to do that. Now, while they were making this, the idea of product design sort of came into one of them and said, okay, maybe this is what I probably really want to do. And that became a part of their essay to then cultivate, other activities that they wanted to take up when they went into the 10th and the 11th grade. And so they started when they were in the ninth, thinking of it like this, and then built up on it. But while they were in college, they were looking through, they also realized that they were good at, biology. And so ultimately, when they applied to a biology major and moved or shifted from doing product design. So all I would say is that it's very possible that you would reach that, but just what was important to them, they actually wrote that piece, and she's at Brown now. So it's all very doable. It's just what is it that you really? I mean, you can make, but it's not really a mistake. I would say it's just you have to be very committed to what cause you are believe that you believe in, and it's just how you position it. At the end in your essays is there is a learning. It's not that anything that you learn is wasted.
Yeah, I think Dhaval and Sweta, you both bring up a very good point. And I think even presenting that mistake or failure or whatever it is that project that you started but could never be completed also shows your authenticity as a student. It shows that you are you. You are a human being. You've had some successes and you've had some failures, which is true for everybody who's in attendance in this webinar right now. Not everything that we started we have excelled in, and not everything that we've started we've failed in. So that's what I think makes a profile more authentic, is where definitely you have to highlight your achievements and things that show how good you are in some things, but you also have to balance it out by saying that, hey, I've not always hit it, I've not always hit the mark. I've also I have not done really well in these aspects too. And I think that is also very it's refreshing for admissions managers also to receive profiles like this, because that shows the genuineness of a person, of a student too.
Definitely. I was wondering if now we could switch over to Fuad and Paridhi. I would love to hear from you. Um, so either of you can begin. Essentially, Fuad and Paridhi did Horizons courses in December, January. So they're going to give a student's perspective on it. And I think that will shed a lot of light on, in particular, what Horizons courses are like. And once we're done with Fuad and Paridhi speaking, we'll open it up to questions for them or for Dhaval and Shraddha. So, Fuad, are you down to begin?
Yeah, sure. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Hello? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are not good.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. I'm Fuad. I'm going to be a grade 12 humanities student. And I took up the course of international relations titled War, Peace, and Drones with Professor Ananya Sharma. And I've been quite interested in the field of conflict and international politics for quite some time. And I came across this course on social media, and having seen what Professor Ananya Sharma was talking about, it intrigued me, and I was quick to enroll myself for it. And yeah, I mean, it was a wonderful experience. We were exposed to, or rather, we were taught various IR theories, and Professor used a lot of contemporary examples to support the theories and make it easier for us to understand. And yeah, it was a great experience. I was surrounded by a lot of intelligent and like-minded peers who also had a lot of great insights to share, and a lot of cool concepts and theories that I also hadn't heard about. And we had some great conversations. We also had a great teaching fellow who also, on our Sunday sessions, it is Saturday and Sunday, on our Sunday sessions, who would sort of solidify and revise what we had learned and open up discussions for students to sort of maybe debate or understand the concepts that were taught. So yeah, that helped me a lot. Now when I read articles or engage in conversations related to IR or something like that, now I'm a little more knowledgeable, and I can support my arguments much stronger than I could earlier. And apart from that, Horizons in particular and the IR course has helped me. I think one thing is, now I know that I'm going to prioritize faculty when it comes to college decision making. Having interacted with the faculty, I thought they were absolutely stellar. And now I know that that's going to be one of the major things that I look out for. Also, I think for me, in terms of IR, it really legitimized the field for me. Prior to this, I wasn't really aware of, the academia or really the legitimacy of it. I'd only been exposed to, sort of geopolitics and stuff like that. So this was to know that there is a relevant field for IR and something that I can pursue in the near future. That really solidified sort of having a purpose and striving for something. Uh, Again, in terms of college decision making, the other thing I would say is, it's. I think I'm going to look out for liberal arts colleges that are a little more progressive, not only in terms of, I guess, their social ideologies, etc., but also in terms of their academics, and have a sort of interdisciplinary approach to teaching. And yeah, I think this course has helped me a lot in finding purpose and understanding that I feel like IR is sort of my calling. And now I can, sort of strive to hopefully pursue something in the field.
No, that's really great. Thanks a lot, Fatma, especially telling us about, how the course has helped you think about the type of college you want to go to, what you're going to consider as most important when making that decision. And also, I mean, I think the point about faculty is bang on. So I think it gives you a clearer sense of what a major in this field might look like, because I have a lot of friends who watched Suits and wanted to become lawyers in the same way that Shweta, you were mentioning the student who like kind of likes writing and now wants to write a book. So I think like in that sense, for Fuad, maybe like the course is one that helped him see whether the academic studies of global conflict is actually something that he could see himself doing in college rather than it just being something that he knows he's interested in reading about in the news or things like that. Paridi, why don't you go ahead?
Hello everyone, I'm Paradi Jasroy and I attended the English and Writing course at Ashoka Horizons. So it was a very fun and like new experience for me because the course basically helped me look at writing in a very new perspective. My prior learnings of writing primarily just came from school and the way teachers taught me to write, and it was very like surface level, and it was very like catered to writing in exams, and then like it was very pressurized that you have to complete one writing topic in 15 minutes, and there were a lot of rules that you had to follow, and this it's not like much of a space to experiment or be creative at writing, and it's very like sort of closed in a box, and you cannot really think outside the box or anything like that. And So now, as I understand writing, I can understand it more of like an experimental place, and I don't quite pressurize myself to maybe finish some writing topic within one day or 10 to 15 minutes. And I understood that writing is like a long, drawn out process. And if you want to write something good or meaningful, it will take time, and it is okay to take time. You might reread it, you might correct it, you might write like 10 or thousands of times like the same thing over and over again, and that is how writing works, because it is a creative task and not something that needs to be confined within a set of rules or even word limits the way we are given them in exams, like just that is the word limit, and if you exceed it, it's not good or it's bad. So now the course also helped me to improve my communication skills, because in the within those 4 weeks I communicated with the faculty as well as the students, and it was a very mind-opening experience because I heard various opinions. Like we were given a lot of times we were given a particular essay, and we were asked to give our opinions on that or think what was wrong or what was right on that. And it was very eye-opening because we were like 8 to 10 students, and all of us had very different perspectives on the same essay. Or so it was very refreshing to see how like different people of like from different backgrounds think about certain topics. So it was a very fun experience, and the way the entire course was set up, and it was less of like learning theoretically and more of like practical work. Like we were allowed to interact with each other, we were allowed to interact with the faculty. So that was very exciting, and this has really helped me to approach writing in a very different way now. So whenever I write for schools or any assignments or anything, like recently we went on like an excursion somewhere, and the school asked to give like sort of like a write-up for that excursion. So I was really able to, while writing for it, I was really able to control my thoughts and my like flow of thoughts, and understand that okay, this is how I'm supposed to write it. And it was very more like peaceful and a creative process than like forcing myself to just whatever came to my mind, just writing it for the sake of it. So it was very fun, and now my writing perspective is much better, and I really quite enjoyed the course. So yeah.
No, that's great. I think I'm really happy that, Fuad and you, Pariti, joined because Fuad took one of our courses which is focused on a particular academic stream, so international relations, and we have many courses in streams that are coming up, and that's really meant to give you a sense of what a major looks like. Whereas Parithi, you did a course on skills, so you develop your writing and communication skills, and that's going to be really important throughout your college journey. So these things that you mentioned about writing as a space of thinking, writing as a space of coming up with your own arguments, of debating. These are things that would be really valuable in any college classroom. Um, I think I'm going to just put up one slide right now with the list of the Horizons courses that we have coming up in May and June. And let's open it up to questions. If anyone has any questions about the courses or about anything that we discussed today, you can direct it to any of the students or the panelists or Ankita or me, and we'd be happy to take that.
Yeah, and before that, I think from Shweta and Dhaval, if I were to ask you to just summarize three things that students should focus on from this point on building their college application profiles, irrespective of wherever they are in their journey. Shweta, let's begin with you. What would be those top three things?
Of course, they have to, the crux of your application still is, the weightage is on your academia. So the number one thing they should definitely focus on is, consistently improving their school grades. What they look for is, a growth in your own personal journey, not like, having definitely all A stars or like, having always a 95% above, but always improving. That is the number one thing for college applications. Secondly, doing some understanding, what their true passion is. If they are interested in anything, they should never see that, what will look good on my college application. And they should also never think, is it a unique idea? Any idea can be unique if it is authentic. So if they truly are passionate about anything, they should take it forward and work on it throughout their high school years very consistently with it. And you can take a simple project to the next level just by being very consistent. So I would say that take a project you are really interested in, because as the name suggests, passion project, the passion truly means that no one needs to tell you that, listen, hey, do this. You have not written that blog, or you're not clicked that picture, or you're not gone and volunteered. It should truly drive you. So understand what truly is your passion, and don't think whether it will look good on your application. If you are truly passionate, it will make you stand out. That's what I'm going to say. And thirdly, I would tell them that always make most use of your time. Being a mother there and worked with more than 200 plus children in 7 years, I have seen that there is a huge thing of procrastination. So it's okay if you are procrastinating, but come back again and understand that you need to, if you are interested in studying something, like how just now Fawad told us that he was interested in this particular area, and he took up international relations, and now he's so certain that he wants to study that. So whatever you think you are wanting to study in college, whatever is that major, definitely pursue something related to that, so that you can make a very informed decision about what you want to study in college. And also, particularly when you're answering those questions, that why do you want to study this major, that most popular question which will come across you not only just say that, oh, hey, I was very good in physics and so I want to do engineering. You can say that, no, I did these multiple courses, maybe I did the Horizon course, maybe I did a research project in physics. That story is much more compelling, and also you go much more confident in your journey going forward, that, okay, this is what I want to study. So these are my top 3 takes, that please keep your scores high, please drive your passion, and do something related to what you want to study in college. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was really, really helpful. Dhaval, your top 3 tips?
Wow. It's so hard to just say top 3, because there's so much that goes into, this whole aspect of, as they say, exploration or talking about yourself. But yeah, I think top definitely is make sure that you walk your talk, right? If you think that it's important um, to have those academic scores, right? Either you don't have those academic scores and you have a very compelling story to tell them why you're coming to college, and you're gonna make it through college with good grades. So be realistic, right? Because if you're expecting that admission counselor is going to look at your application and say, oh wow, you've got 75% on this, but what were you doing during that time where you were not able to actually spend time on academics? So important that you have to. So there could be even blips in academics at some point, but know how to cover those up. I would say that you need to recalibrate every year, where it is that you are, build your goals for that year also. So build your overall goals for those 4 years, build and recalibrate where you are, and then kind of say, okay, if this has happened, what do I do? How do I cover up for this? Or how do I kind of make sure that my story really does match at the end of it, right? So it's important to follow through on, and we put either you're taking some leadership project, you are taking some volunteering work that you're actually doing, some extracurriculars. I would say two extracurriculars you should have, like, so you at least have two things to show. Some of them might not, but then that's okay. So it's important to make sure that you have those aspects of things, because what if something didn't work out, you have something else to fall back on, in your story. So I would say, if I look at, three things is, make sure you have your goals, in place, recalibrate your strategy, year after year. What is it that you're learning? Put that down so that, it's easier for you as you're growing through to decide when you come into the 12th, okay, where do I want to go? What universities do I want to apply? What are the things that I need to really talk about? Because when you open the form for a university, somewhere if you're looking at a common app, you're going to have 8 things to write, and you have like 7 different sections, and there is 8 different things to write, and you should have content, you should have done those things to write, right? Even an Ashoka application has things that they're going to ask you about, and then remember, you have the interview. So after your essay, then you have the interview. So you need to be interesting enough, right, to talk in your interview about the things that you've done. So I would say that sums it up.
Yeah, and very, very pertinent points from both of you. Thank you so much. And with that, we come to the end of the webinar. The courses for Horizon Summer 2024 May session are there in the screen in front of you. We also have June session courses, if you can just scroll through them. So we have about 7 different disciplines that we are covering this summer in Horizons. Everything from environment and sustainability. And this particular course is very close to my heart because we are all living in cities right now. And if you were to just open the news one day, and you will see all sorts of weather related calamities that are happening the world over. So if there is something that you want to do for your city that will make it more sustainable, not just for you, but also for your family and for generations that follow after, this course can definitely give you a foundation level understanding of that. And we also have the other courses which are very, very exciting. All of them are offering something that you would be hard pressed to find anywhere else on an on an online platform. These are live courses. They are online, but they are live. So it's essentially like being in a live classroom with the faculty and the TF and the peers that will join you from every corner of the country and even abroad. So a very exciting time to be a student. If I were you, I would jump at the opportunity to, expand my horizons this summer. And on that happy note, I would like to open the floor for questions. We do have some students that are in attendance. If any of you have any questions, if you don't wish to speak, you can feel free to type that in the Q&A box. Alternatively, you can also raise your hand and we can then unmute in case there is anybody who wishes to ask a particular question. Yes, we have someone who's raised their hand. Am I missing this person?
Can I just add one more point that I'd completely forgotten when I was talking earlier?
Sure.
Yeah, I think one of the other strong points for Horizons is that they're offering these kind of courses, again, like I mentioned earlier, with top-notch faculty. And for a field or a subject that is slightly niche, like IR in my case, I've noticed that when I try to look for other courses or internships or something like that with other think tanks or institutions here in Bangalore, it was really tough to find one. And even the ones that I did find, I think they almost always cater to undergraduate students or professional working folks, which is why I think, again, for younger people, younger students who are interested in some of these topics, I think this is quite possibly the best course I've come across uh, to get on a live experience with experts in the field and get an academic perspective into these topics.
Thank you so much, Fahad. And that's a fantastic and a solid vote of confidence when it comes to the Horizons courses. So we have one question in the Q&A box. Shilpi asks us, not sure if you have a math course, but typically a subject-based course like astrophysics, how is it different from theoretical understanding? That's a very good question, Shilpi. And to give you an example, we don't currently have a course based in math specifically, but it is definitely something that we are working on because, and I'm pretty sure both Shweta and Dhaval can also testify to the fact that math is a subject which is traditionally very, very daunting and scary for a lot of high school students. But it's also a very useful subject to learn and it's good to be not afraid of math, but that's something that we're working on. It's in the pipeline. But if I were to talk to you about the astrophysics course specifically, there isn't a lot of calculation that you would be doing because we understand that we have only 4 weekends with you. So all Horizons courses are spread over 4 weekends, 2 hours on Saturdays, 2 hours on Sundays. And for a course which is as vast as the universe itself, literally astrophysics is about the study of the universe, and there are so many things that we still don't know about it. It's very difficult to cover a lot of foundation level concepts in math and physics in those 4 weekends. What you will learn through this course, for example, would be how to understand this physics and how to understand the data sets that astronomers typically rely on to get conclusions. For example, a lot of you would be given different data sets to work on that have been taken from actual observatories or come from the actual research hubs at Ashoka University. So a lot of these data sets are what undergrad students at Ashoka are actually working on currently in their undergrad studies. Obviously, there would be a much more simplified objective for high school students because a lot of you are going to be learning this for the first time. But this kind of learning, how to take that data set, how to understand it, how to familiarize yourself with that vocabulary that you would not have learned in your school subjects, that is something that you would learn. And that is something that sets this course apart from simply theoretical understanding. So it's not us telling you about the universe, anything of that. I mean, there are several documentaries that will tell you, but this is to give you very hands-on experience of understanding the life cycle of stars, what happens in between, how are they formed, what are the data sets that are related to this formation, what happens in between, and what happens in their ultimate demise, and what is the impact that they have on the rest of the solar system, the galaxy, or any other celestial bodies. So that's how this will be different from theoretical understanding. I hope that answers your question. Do we have any other questions? Great. Happy pleasure, Purvi.
Just to generalize a little bit more from what Ankita was saying, usually the way we break up the Saturday and the Sunday session is that on the Saturday session, the faculty member introduces the theoretical and conceptual concepts. I mean, the main ideas that the week's module is going to be about, and that's a lecture come class discussion type of session. And then on Sunday, it's really focused on hands-on activities, and that's across all the courses. So, for example, in the astrophysics one, on Sundays when you're going to be dealing with that real data from different observatories. In international relations, you might be dealing with a particular case example to illustrate a theoretical question that was introduced on the previous Saturday. So it's usually theory and concepts on Saturday and hands-on practice with clear, concrete examples on Sunday. So we just had to generalize it across all the courses.
Dhaval has a question for Fuad and Pariti both. If you can share your experience across the 4 weekends, how was your experience and what was the format, the teaching and the interactions, the quizzes, etc.? Maybe for this, we can start with Paridhi. You can share your experience of what the teaching format was like, how interactive are the classrooms, the quizzes, etc.
Yeah, the teaching format was very different and interesting from what any other course that I've ever attended. It was way more practical and like less of theoretical. We were talking for the most part, we were interacting, debating, talking, and discussing over various topics. And like usually Saturdays would be we would learn about certain aspects of writing or like certain things that we should include in writing or certain things we would think about in writing, and then on Sunday we would basically practice them or look at more examples related to that. And then we would also be given over like the week to write in a on a certain topic or write in a certain way, and like then we were graded also on that basis of that. And the way we were given feedback on the what we were writing was very insightful, because it was very, we could improve on those certain things. And we were also given quizzes which were very interesting and fun quizzes which were different. It was not like based on academics. It was like based on movies or like different things or books or something. So it was very interactive and fun and very different. So yeah.
Fawad?
Yeah. So for IR, it was, of course, spread across 4 weeks, 4 weekends. And on the first week, we looked at power and its attributes. In the second, we looked at drones and the changing dynamics of warfare. Third week, we looked at the cyberspace. And fourth, we looked at health and environment. So like Pariti and Paritosh have mentioned, Saturdays were a little more theoretical, where professor would sort of introduce us to the topics. And then Sundays we would discuss it, revise it, talk about it, etc. And the other really cool thing is throughout the weeks, after every module, we'd have this thing called reflections. So we'd write a 250-word write-up on anything that we found interesting, or just to any notes that we had, anything that we wanted to add, or any videos or articles that we wanted to share, or questions that we had for professor. So I think that really kept us engaged throughout the week. So for me personally, even after I was done on the weekends, I would constantly think about what we had done, because I would have to write about it eventually and then submit it. So that was again very engaging, and it always kept me looking forward to every weekend. Apart from that, also we had this thing called office hours with our teaching fellows, and I think that's again a really cool concept, because if we had any questions related to Ashoka, or college related stuff, or even for that matter stuff that we had learned in the course, like IR related stuff, uh, our teaching fellows would clear all sorts of doubts regarding that. So yeah, that was sort of the format that we had.
That's great. Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing such interesting insights into the course. Now, for the students still in attendance, if you have any questions related to profile building, anything in particular, any doubts that you may have that you want to clarify, now is the time to do so. The Horizons team is definitely available to answer any questions you may have about the courses as such. But if you have anything that you want to learn about how to build a strong profile, some of you may already be doing that in your high school currently. So we have two very expert panelists currently with us. This would be a golden opportunity to get very specific answers to your questions. Okay, we have one more question. I'm going to read it out. I'm in grade 10. Maybe Dhaval, you can answer this question. I'm in grade 10th and I want to become an investor. But right now, I'm running a service-based business and earning about 10K a month. Wow. I'm learning about selling, negotiations, human natures, etc. But I'm I'm confused about what streams I should take. I'm 14 years old. He's written that in the brackets. So first of all, whoever this student is, kudos. It's definitely showing a lot of initiation. But Dhaval and Shweta, both of you can answer this question.
I love how creatively they put everything down. So I would definitely say that they will be good at writing their essay and putting their points down. But I think if you're looking at you want to become an investor, what are the top things that you probably want as an investor is some of the knowledge of fundamentals, right, for investing. So maybe some courses where you're looking at, fundamentals of investing, understanding those pieces of it. From a traditional route, if you're looking at, a higher education program, you probably want to consider something like a BBA, a Bachelor of Business Administration, where you probably have, certain areas that you could focus on. That could be one option. Or you could look at economics and think of understanding macro and micro better, and then get into a little bit more research and analysis, take up, work or internships in that area, and then slowly move towards being an investor. So there are ways to kind of look at this. Either you do something which is to do with business administration, or really learn pure economics and think about the macro and micro factors, and then probably get into doing some research work, so you get more of an understanding of fundamentals of how that's done, and then get to becoming an investor. I'll tell you, patience is key. So you have to first decide, while you're thinking of being an investor, there are investors of many kind, right? So there's investment of equity in companies versus investment in startups as well. So there's a lot of things that you will explore over the time period, but take up things now which will make you. So there's something on entrepreneurship, that comes up for making a business plan. Explore that so that you understand what goes into it. You'll see an investor side to it as well. I hope this is helpful.
I think he wanted to get clarity on what kind of stream he should opt for in 11th, 12th. I think that's where he's confused. He's currently in grade 10. So he wants to know what stream.
So I would say, so I would say if the stream is there, then I would say taking economics, definitely is one area. So you're looking at that stream where you can. It depends on what course you're taking also. So whether you're in a curriculum which is CBSE or ICSE or Cambridge or IB, will vary a bit. But if you're getting to choose between courses, then you could take, say, business, and you could take economics. These are the two areas that you could definitely explore. That would give you some sort of a base to then look at what you want to do in a higher ed program.
I would just like to add to that. I would just say, firstly, kudos to the person who's making 10K a month. You're very, very enterprising. So I would say that, definitely going for subject selection, I think maths is something you should definitely consider for grade 11 and 12. Because if you're looking at being an investor, your numbers needs to be strong, so make your number game strong and get the maths there. And if you have to choose between economics and business, I usually ask children not to take both the subjects because I think they're very overlapping. I would recommend the student to take economic versus business because in this case, already he's learning the buying, selling, all of it. So you have a real experience. So I don't think you need to invest into the course at grade 11 and 12. Either take economics and take another subject and show more diversity in your subject selection. That is, maybe even a psychology can be something great with maths and eco because it will help you understand the mind of the person who's in front of you, and you can be a win-in-win game when you become an investor there. So I think these subjects would be very, very relevant. And also whatever service you're offering and making that 10K, let's build that into a product. Let's understand what's the USP that people are paying you at this age. It could become eventually something you do in life also. So take it seriously and take it to the next level. That's what I would say.
Thank you both. I hope that answers his or her question. We also have another question from a student. Now, they say a very good afternoon. Good afternoon to you too. Okay, by the way, we are open for Q&As for the next 5 minutes only, and after that we will bring this webinar to a close. So if you have any more questions, just feel free to type them right now. For a psychology student, what can be some good internships or profile building? Because in spite of being a progressive and upcoming field, it's quite difficult to find genuine and informative internships for this subject. I think that's a very good question. Shweta, what could be your thoughts? And then we can.
Yeah. So not only to psychology, I think finding internship for high school students is challenging because, you know, you don't have the right skill sets and the knowledge. So somebody to share that time, mentor you, firstly, you know, teach you something, and then you participate in some real-time project. It is a difficult thing. Tap into your internal networks of friends and family. And if somebody can give you time to mentor you and, you know, really give you some time so that you can learn something and then apply. So the learning and the application, I think, is the most important aspect when you look at an internship over the name and fame of the company. Like, you know, I have families who come to say that, you know, I know the founders of Microsoft and my kid can intern there. But, you know, trust me, if you're just sitting there and coming back with the internship letter and really no work experience, it will really not matter. Versus if you work, even if a startup, but you're working very close to the founder and you get to learn something and apply that in some sense in, you know, in that internship, that is more meaningful. So if you're not getting an internship which is related to psychology, which is a tough one, I think there are many other things you can explore. You can explore some very good online courses, like just now we spoke about this course here, Ashoka Horizon. You could also look at some free courses if you don't want to invest into that. You could pick up a book in psychology. You could pick up a biography of somebody who's like, you know, made it in this field and see what their journey is like. So a lot can be done. You can even, you know, shadow, you know, a psychologist, see how their day looks like. So lots of things can be possible, achievable, but particularly if you're talking about internship, it is a little tough to find that.
So I could just add to that one piece is that, yes, I think Fortis does have some kind of these internships that they do for psychology. You can, you know, probably apply for them. They're online on their website. You could look at that. But in addition to that, also, if you see, psychology has a couple of different layers to it as well. So whether you're looking at clinical psychology or you're looking at social psychology, you're looking at sports, you know, there are a couple of psychologists typically, you know, who have their practice. They get together, and some of them are very happy to work with students as well. So if you want to reach out to them, you know, LinkedIn is a very strong platform. I must, you know, I should say, and today high school students have also started using those. You can reach out to some of them, and they would be happy if you have something in mind that you know you would like to take up. You can reach out to them and say, this is something that I would want to do. And many of them do or happy to have someone. What they would do is also make you read certain journals and things of that sort, so you understand what it takes or what it entails. And some of them might want some research work, or they're already working on something, and they might ask you to, sort of support it. So that's something else that you could also do, when you're looking at psychology. So I don't know if that answers that completely, but try and think a little bit more broader of what you also want to do. So read up on what is it in psychology that you're more interested in.
That's a very interesting perspective from both of you. Thanks so much. Fuad, you have your hand raised. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say for psychology students in Bangalore, if any of you guys are interested, I'd suggest looking at Banjara Academy. You may not find like biological, psychological kind of internships, but if you're looking for any volunteering work related to mental health, they're very open to students and very welcoming. So I'd highly suggest that.
Yeah, thanks for that, Fuad. Great. I think we're out of time. So I'll hand it over to Ankita. And in the meantime, I'm just going to put up a link in the chat, which is a link to a webinar that we're having on Tuesday evening. And while this webinar was really about understanding how to become a strong college applicant, that webinar is specifically on the courses. So if you are interested in learning more about these courses, then do come for that. It's obviously a big decision. because it takes time from your schedule. There's many other ways that you could be building your profile. But if you think that this course is something for you, any of the different subjects, then I would encourage you to come for that. So I'll just put it in the chat and hand over to Rita.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks everyone for joining us for this webinar today. A special thanks to Dhaval. A special thanks to Shweta, Fuad, and Paridhi. All four of you, I think you've made this a very, very informative session for the students who are in attendance. And I'm sure that they have a lot of, things that they can walk away with, very useful information. We have one last question that has come to us. Okay, they say that, do you really think I should go to college or should I work on my business and boost my skill sets? Because it would take 4 years in college and I cannot afford to waste that time. Let me take that off of your hands, guys. I think it is very, very imperative that you go to college. You get that formal education, because believe you me, once this passion in you withers away, business gets very complicated very quickly. You have to be able to understand not just the strategic, the process side of things, but there is also a huge component of managing people. People management is something that is traditionally not taught, right? And it's something that you will learn once you come out of school and get into college, where you will understand it's a very, very different world. You are, in essence, as much responsible for your own learning as the college professor is. So, to get that kind of exposure, to get access to opportunities where you will be able to expand your skill set and really hone them, is very, very important. So, please perish that thought about not going to college at all. It is very, very crucial to go to college because it offers some very, very unique experiences that you will be hard pressed to find anywhere. And think of it as not as time wasted, but as time invested in your own investment. So it's definitely time well spent. And with that, I would like to end this webinar. I know we have a lot of interesting things that we have planned over the weekend. Thank you so much, Dhaval, for joining us today. It was great having you on this panel, and I'm sure the students have walked away with a lot of insights. Shweta, thank you so much for sharing your keen insights, not just as a parent, but also as an independent counselor with us. I'm sure a lot of useful information that students have walked away with. Special thanks to Fuad and Paridhi. You guys are amazing. And I hope that the Horizons experience is still helping you expand your horizons, even beyond the classrooms, the virtual classrooms. Thank you so much. Have a very good evening, good afternoon to all of you. And thanks once again.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.